Okay, I had mentioned earlier that we'd take a flight from St. Barts over to St. Maarten, and I think today is the day that we'll go ahead and do that. I had meant to try to make some more changes or some more attempts at change to the method that I'm using to record this and hopefully get more clarity, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen tonight, so let's just take a flight over there with what we have, and I'll keep working on that later. I've already done my startup procedure and my engine run up and all that. We're flying in a little turbo Piper Aero 3, and I'm doing that because it will make the trip a lot more quickly. There's what we flew down last night in the X-Cub. It's a pretty steep hillside. This is a pretty insane airport, but it is beautiful. Anyway, alright, so let's button up the vent window here. Close. Reduce the noise a little bit, but also it's I'm going to be going fast enough that we don't want to have that open while we're flying at speed. So here we go. Sorry about that. So that large island off in the not too distance there is the island of St. Maarten, or rather, I'm not actually sure what the island's name is, but let me see here. It's home to the two nations of, well, actually, just the spelling is different. It's St. Maarten on the Dutch side, Sint Maarten on the Dutch side, and St. Maarten on the French side, I believe. The island is split into, I think, 2/3, 1/3, with the Dutch owning and running the 2/3 part of the island. Let me get in here and get my mixture set. Okay, I believe that's where I want it. And I think I'll just fly it by hand. I won't use autopilot for such a short trip. I think it is that island over there in the distance that is Saba. It is home to what I believe is reported to be the shortest commercial runway in the world, and it does host Twin Otter landings. It is another fairly popular destination resort kind of island, but it has an incredibly short runway. It takes a lot of skill to put a plane down there and get it stopped in time, even though the approach isn't quite as tricky as the one that we saw last night over here at St. Barts. I don't remember these islands. I should, and I don't remember at the moment. I'm sorry. Oh, RPM are too high. There we go. Yeah, let's come back with the mixture a little bit there. Alright. A little below my intended altitude of 2,000. But we're getting close to the island, or the other airport now, so. I hope I don't give you whiplash, but I'm going to jump outside the airplane for just a moment so you can see what we're flying in. It's a very capable little 4-seat airplane. It's a lot of fun to fly, and it's very, very practical. It has a fantastic payload. See our shadow down there? Has a fantastic, useful load, and is forgiving and easy to fly. And it's fast. It's almost 200 miles an hour at maximum cruise speed. Has a useful range of almost 800 nautical miles, which is probably 870 statute miles, so it can go quite a long ways between stops. I'm going to overfly Princess Juliana Airport and let you see a little bit of the island as we go over. We're expecting a new update for Microsoft Flight Simulator sometime in the next very few days, and I'm hoping that they will correct an issue that's been a little bit disappointing with this more recent release, with the colors of the landscape being a little washed out sometimes. But overall, I'm not complaining. This simulator is absolutely breathtakingly amazing. Oh, looky there! They've got a looks like a tall ship out there in the bay. We had booked a tall ship experience here at St. Maarten on a cruise that we ended up having to cancel a few years ago. So situations at work that prevented us from being able to go on it, and that was disappointing. It was a 3 or 4 masted schooner that sailed over from, I think it was Germany, or a port near Germany, to over here to St. Maarten, to the Caribbean for the season. Anyway, there is the Princess Juliana Airport. There is Simpson Bay to its left from our perspective. And here is I think this is the town of St. Philipsburg. I'll have to look it up again. And right here, which I don't think there's a lot to show up, but right here, these buildings right here are, yes, the site of kind of a ski lift, a chairlift, tram, and zip line adventure that we did take on our visit here, and that was kind of fun. Here we go a little bit with that turbulence from the ridge that I was kind of complaining about last night. Alright, and this area over here is the French side. What we just overflew is the Dutch side. We visited here the season following, was it Hurricane Irma that tore things up so badly? I think it was Irma. And we stopped in St. Thomas the day before we came to St. Maarten. I think that was the order that we experienced them in. And I would say that we really were very, very impressed with the recovery rate and the attitude of the people in St. Thomas. It was a delightful experience. The experience here in St. Maarten, frankly, was very disappointing. The people seemed unappreciative of our presence, whereas the people in St. Thomas had just gushed their gratitude toward us at returning and bringing them back their livelihood, because they completely depend on tourist traffic. I can't imagine what the current circumstances are doing to them. But they were so grateful to us for bringing our tourist dollars back. And they were just wonderful people that in virtually every case, people were friendly and warm. The attitude seemed optimistic and hopeful expectations of a restored future. Their progress was significant. They were actively engaged, obviously, in the rebuilding of their own island. And here at St. Thomas, that was absolutely not the case. Here in St. Thomas, felt like everybody was, well, that's way too broad a generalization. That's not fair. But many of the people that we encountered, and the general overall attitude, felt like the whole island was sitting around waiting for the French government to return with even more, Dutch government to return with even more money for them to put into the recovery. They'd already been given nearly $1 billion, if I remember correctly, and they had spent most of that, or rather put most of that into their pockets, according to accounts from some of the local people, and were waiting for more cash from Holland to continue bailing them out, and very, very little recovery seemed to have occurred. Yeah, I know. Alrighty, so let's put the gear down. That's telling me I'm taking my throttle down to too low a position without the gear down, and it's worried that I'm going to try to land on the belly without wheels. And alright, so that little white arc there on the speed indicator shows me the safe range for putting down flaps. And I'm not going to do it just yet, but I'll do it very soon. And again, I realize I'm turning my head around way too much, and I'm probably making you seasick. I'm sorry. I do need to get better at that. I'm used to just looking where my eyes want to look so that I can see to fly safely and for my whatever momentary interests that I have. And I'll always need to look around to make sure I fly safely. But I do need to learn to limit my motions just for my own whimsy, so that I give you as pleasant a viewing experience as I'm able to. So we're going to be flying over the famous beach here as we cross the threshold for landing. The one where people stand seemingly right under the wheels of the overpassing airplanes, taking pictures and video, which we did when we visited. And also the fence, which people cling to and try not to get blown out into the beach by the jet blast when the planes take off. It's a very famous and popular area for tourists. We enjoyed a nice lunch over here to the right hand side. There's a little taco shack called the Macho Taco that we enjoyed a meal at. And there is a bar right basically on the beach that has some history to it, and that's pretty cool too. Alright, I need to shut up and start landing. And yes, I'm actually coming in too low, but so be it. Well, wow. I must have quite a crosswind going here. I didn't take time to check the ATIS, which I should have done. And I didn't get a good glimpse of the windsock, which I also should have done. Let's open the window. It's pretty hot here. Let's see, it is... Oh, okay, it's showing 60 degrees. That's not hot, but it's not 60 degrees either. So I'm waiting for Microsoft Flight Simulator to bring us a better enhanced version of this airport, because this has all the buildings in the right place, but it isn't the look of Princess Juliana Airport. I'm just going to park over here by this other little Piper Warrior. And you've at least gotten to see what a flight from one part of the Caribbean to another feels like. All right. Thanks for riding along.